All right, it is Wednesday, my dudes, which means that it is time for Midnight Hatter Live, the weekly variety show that is about Gundam, tabletop gaming, game dev, and all kinds of good stuff. Uh, I am Steven, your host, returning from my hiatus, and joining me as always is the wonderful Adam Blue. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, good to see you, man. It's been a while. I didn't know what to do with myself. I even just faked having you on my podcast just to get myself busy. But
Honestly, I thought
no,
that version was a little bit more charismatic than I am.
no, no, it's good though. Yeah, and we actually both were kind of busy anyway one of those weeks, so that's where I pre-recorded that one version. But yeah, we're back at doing this. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm proud to say that I'm finally back from my, I guess, does it count as paternity leave if it's YouTube? I'm not sure if what the terminology
Yeah.
is behind that. But yes, I've been
Yeah.
home with my daughter, and so I figured let's have a little Chad Dad stream, you being a longtime father, me being a first time
Yeah.
father. I'm like, teach me, sensei, please.
It's funny you say that because yeah, when I became a father at first, I was much younger than you are, and with working together as we've been recently or lately, it's like, oh yeah, Steven is right in the perfect stage of his life to really take on something like that, really impart knowledge and wisdom that I already get from you. I can't imagine my kids when I was younger, what I was teaching them, but no, nah.
No, I mean, you definitely give me too much credit because some days I'm losing my patience. This girl, I swear, uh if you remember, like in Dragon Ball Z when Kakarot's in the nursery next to Broly, and it's the screaming that that makes Broly all powerful. I'm terrified that my neighbor has a kid, that's just listening to her screaming and is like, I'm gonna become a Super Saiyan and kill them.
Well, I can't say I've seen Dragon Ball, although they have them in Fortnite now.
Yeah, you take a week off from the internet, you come back and Goku has a shotgun. It's like, oh
That's a funny way to
man.
put it.
But yeah, having some time with the family, and having some time to kind of reflect and take a break from everything. It's given me a lot of time to reflect and think about everything that we've been doing together, and just kind of how much I miss it. I was like, oh man, it feels weird on a Wednesday night, and a Thursday night for that matter. What am I gonna do with myself? Well,
Yeah.
aside from take care of a newborn, but
Yeah. No, having that kind of planned, it's planned like you time,
yeah,
me time. It's like planned time to just really dive into the stuff we like. That's why I always love this time of the week. Yeah.
yeah, and hey, big shout out to the Gundam Explained community, of course, because Adam, you and your supporters sent my daughter an awesome care package, which I wish I should have brought some of the stuff down here because that was very thoughtful of you guys. So, yeah, everyone watching, definitely go check out Gundam Explained. Links down in the description. Totally awesome group of people and super supportive. And so yes, thank you guys so much for everything that you do for me and for my family.
Yeah, that was really cool. That again, the supporters are awesome. They come up with stuff, and it's cool how our communities are kind of blended in that way too. We're always kind of bouncing off each other. Yeah, and just seeing in the chat, we've got Autonomous. What is
We've
that?
got Ian.
Unusual
Yeah,
Pyro. Yeah,
Pyro.
Ian's in there too. Yeah, it's good to see the people jumping back in. Yeah, after that time off.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys popping in and saying howdy. Goku and Vegeta would be
Well,
gamers in their off time. Yeah, probably. They'd probably be
oh, I was gonna say. Oh, you know what? I think. Sorry, I think it was my internet might be good now. But I was gonna ask, like, what has time been like for you? Has it been where you're now just trying to figure out the time you have? You're kind of playing it by ear as the days go.
yeah, I've always been kind of a play it by ear. I mean, that's my whole family, honestly. I get that from my dad, is like, you can't make plans because someone else is going to throw a wrench in your plans. So so
Yep.
be as non-committal as possible unless you know you can keep your commitments.
Right.
And now, it's just that to the nth degree because, from minute to minute, I'm like, okay, I could be there at 6 p.m. and start streaming, or, you know, daughters need to be fed, so so I'm going to
You
be
know what?
15
That was
minutes
the
late.
hardest part for me, when I first had a kid, it was I was like the first of my friends, or the group of people, and then it had slowly became where I wasn't, hanging out with them as much, or I would never plan anything because I never knew what would happen. And that was a time where I was experimenting with YouTube, but it was hard for me to commit to something. Even my blog too, it was really hard for me to commit to something because yeah, you didn't know what to expect, and then had more kids, and I went a period of time where I was just trying to learn all this stuff and I didn't really know what to do. But I think there's a couple things, like I've finally gotten to a point where now I have the time, but I do think it's possible even when they're young. I think I was just inexperienced, immature, and I've kind of learned a lot now that it is possible, even with the newborn, to work at carving that time you need for yourself, and it will help you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and that's one of the things that my wife and I have been kind of, amping each other up about. We're like, hey, you're no good to the kid if you are burned out and stressed out, so it's like you do
Yeah.
have to kind of make time for yourself as much as you possibly can.
Yep.
Oh, hey, thank you for the sub there. I appreciate it. And so yes, I mean, looking at you, chat, can confirm you can have it all is what is what Adam and I are saying. You can.
Yeah.
It's not easy, but you can have
It's
it
not
all.
easy.
And as like dads, you learn how to do things one-handed pretty quick.
Yeah. Well,
My work day has been like, little girl in one hand and I'm typing and scrolling away with the other.
Well, funny you brought that up. Yeah, I remember doing a whole lot of that one-handed stuff, holding or with a bottle and then doing stuff with the mouse or whatever. I don't know. But speaking of one-handed, there's that game on Steam. Everyone should check out. I think it's only $2.99 called Vampire Survivors. I know Ian knows what's up. I told him about it and he started playing, and he told me it's addicting as well. But yeah, it's a fun game. You only need one hand. It's top-down view. You just go around wherever you want on the map, and just waves of enemies are coming at you, but it's a constant level up, and it's like those click games except you're really moving the character. And
Oh,
because it's
okay.
constant, you're constantly getting experience, you're constantly upgrading, you're constantly maxing out because you can unlock something to overmax your weapons. You're getting to a point where the whole screen is just animations and you can't even see. I'll have to send you a video
That's
later, but
awesome.
that would be a good game to play as a new father, I gotta say.
So it is on Steam. Is it
Hmm.
PC only or do they have a Mac version?
I'm not too sure. That would be
Because I
it
still need
could,
to get Wine for my Mac anyway, so that I can start running some PC programs. But
but it's not even a highly intensive game too, which makes me think it would be an easy port. And with Steam pushing the Linux stuff because of porting it on Steam Deck, I would assume there might be a Mac version of that. I'll have to look that up.
yeah, yeah, definitely. So that's gonna be something to look at. Pyro says, try right click to Necromance if you like that game. Right click
Right
to
click.
Necromance. Huh,
Hmm.
interesting.
Yeah, I'd have to see because I have not pressed any other button other than accepting when you choose what your level up is. But yeah, it looks like it's on Mac. So
Sweet. Then I'm definitely gonna have
yeah,
to try it out here, in between work calls. And obviously we live in the most spoiled generation ever because we've got mobile games and things like that. I can
yeah.
play Clash of Clans all day.
But why would you? I'm joking.
Exactly. Um, but yeah, I mean that's been kind of what I've been doing the last couple weeks is just survival mode, right? But like I said, it's given me a lot of time to reflect, a lot of time to think, and I've been kind of going back and looking at some of the content that we've been putting out here over on Midnight Hatter, and I kind of if I'm being honest with myself, and I'm a big full transparency kind of guy. I do look at the numbers and stuff like that. I'm like, hey, what because obviously, we've talked before about how my interests are very varied. I do Gunpla stuff, I do miniature painting, I do tabletop gaming, I do some video game dev and design stuff like that. And I'm always looking for like, okay, what are people most interested in that I can really lean into and create content mostly around that. And as far as like the live stream shows go on Wednesdays, we've been really talking about video games a lot. And what I've seen is that the interest in that those topics is probably not as high as when we're talking about Gunpla, when we're talking about any kind of eh, how do I even
Nerdy
describe it?
stuff. That the specific nerdy like,
Yeah.
yeah, really specific, because you have this sort of thing where, yeah, it's all about creativity, but it's cool that you find these very specific, interesting ways to tackle something. And it's funny because if I'm doing a search on YouTube about how to do this or that, there's a lot of videos about it, but I like how, like, the inductive what was it, the light to turn on by
Oh,
having that.
yeah,
That
the
was the
wireless
coolest thing.
LEDs. Yeah.
Yeah. And the paint, the activated paint
Oh,
that
yeah.
lights up. I mean, there's no other place I have ever heard of this stuff before. So, yeah, and uh, like, even though with 3D printing and miniatures, that's a whole big thing, but just thinking in terms of Gundam, using Blender, making the shape however you want, then having that available to download after you make it, and then you can paint that, which you also give painting tutorials. Yeah, it's a cool creative
Yeah, yeah,
content.
there's a
Yeah.
lot of creative energy that goes into it, and I think that I've been doing a disservice to the audience by limiting our conversations in a way that's strictly around video games as a topic, as opposed to something that's more creative. And even though I'm still currently working on some of my indie video games and things like that, they're not in a place where they're really ready to be shown and we can like break down the exact mechanics that are going on in those games. So we're always limited to, third person references to games that are already out there on the market. And you know, to me I think that that's been sort of obviously people aren't into it. So what I wanted to do is kind of use tonight as an opportunity to announce that there are going to be some changes in the content on the channel. Don't worry, Adam's not going anywhere. He's he's committed
Oh
to
yeah.
sticking with me on this journey. But if you remember, I used to do monthly Gundam or Gunpla build along streams. We would do some miniature painting, things like that. I want to bring back some of those creative activities. I want to bring back some of that stuff, and hopefully, we can expand on those things. I mentioned that one of the big projects I've got going on is making high grade resin conversion kits. And I think that it'll be cool if, while I'm sitting here working in Blender and showing off how we're going to actually create these pieces, Adam can offer suggestions and be a part of the chat and everything like that, keep me on task because obviously,
Yeah.
once you guys start talking, I can't keep up.
Yeah. No, and I like that too, because it's just, again, it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier, and what this stuff has turned into. It's just a way for people to hang out like we used to. But that's funny, because I was just thinking this kind of ties things together. When we were younger, you know, people would go and hang out all the time in spots, and as you get a family and kids, it's harder to do that. But not only has the internet brought people together anyway, but I think it allows people in situations like parents to find communities they can reach out to where they can still have their child with them, not have to worry about a babysitter. So
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I hope that this community that I've got, everyone who knows me on Discord knows how much I kind of despise the idea of communities that are based around franchises and things like that, like fandoms. I'm not a big fan of fandoms, but I think that we have a community here that's more about our passion for hobbies in general. It's not
Yep.
like we're not like Star Wars fans. We are creatives that enjoy all
Like
kinds
all
of
those little
mecha.
things. Yeah.
Yeah, things like
Yeah,
that.
like I was just showing you, even though I'm like a Gundam maniac, I got the new Star Wars Micro Squadron because this is cool. This is like those action fleet from the 90s, and I was at Disney recently and got the Luke
Hey,
Skywalker lightsaber. So, yeah, it's fun to just like different things, talk about it in these communities. Yeah, it's always a
exactly.
good time.
Yeah, yeah, and I want this to be an inviting place where, you know, obviously I'm not the best Gunpla modeler myself, but I'm trying, I'm learning, I experiment with different stuff. I like to think that this is a much more approachable, much more accessible group of people that, we're not the elite Gunpla Builder World Cup type of people that are going to make you feel bad about just getting into the hobby. We're the kind of people that it's like, hey, I suck at removing nub marks too. So, but this is how I
Yeah.
do it.
Well, speaking of removing nub marks, I see Zionic Shadow in the chat, and I know you've been doing some building, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So good to see you, buddy.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah,
he's got his
speaking
first
of community,
major custom in the works, I think, right?
yeah, yeah,
The Project Xeonic Epion.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
very
that's cool
excited to see
stuff.
that.
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, I mean, I've got a few things in the works that I think are going to be fun to work along with together. I think starting this month, we are going to, as a team, go ahead and convert this high grade Hyzak and this high grade Marasai into the Advance of Zeta Hyzak and the Advance of Zeta Rosette,
Oh
respectively.
my gosh,
Um,
that's gonna be sick.
I'm very excited because these are, oh man. So, but I think it's going to be one of those things where it's like week to week. We might cover. I might just do a week where I've got Photoshop open and I show like where we're going to do some cut lines. One of the things I always mention is on these Zaku-esque models, I always find that the visor is a little too wide and it makes them look kind of dopey because they've got these huge
Mm.
open visors. And so one of the first things I'm going to do is definitely shave that down and tighten that visor up to make it look a little bit more menacing. That's always that's like first step Zaku 101 when it comes to Gunpla.
That's pretty good, and I think I've subconsciously realized that, like when certain shots in any of the Gundam animes, when they're trying to, if it's more of a hero shot of a Zaku or something, they really do that visor really does have more of a menacing look. Because I know sometimes, yeah, I'll look at a kit or something and be like, this thing looks goofy. I don't understand, but it's that. And the snout aspect too.
Oh
Sometimes,
yeah,
depending on the angle, it might make it look goofy, but there's ways to customize, yeah, to really pull it off. Yeah.
absolutely. So yeah, I mean that's going to be one of the things that I'm basically going to take the a photo of the kit and I'm going to nip tuck it and show where I'm going to cut and where I'm going to apply plastic
Ah,
parts. Um
good idea.
I think that to the best of my ability with these two kits, I am going to avoid using the 3D printer because I feel like that's cheating a little bit.
Really?
Yeah, I think that for the resin conversion kits, that's one thing, but I think for these that are going to be more like customs that I'm just building as opposed to something that I'm going to share with
Oh,
people.
make a whole thing
Yeah,
instead of, yeah. Okay, I see.
I think that I want to do as much as I can, using just plot plate and just old school analog methods. No 3D
Man, well, I
printing to get
can't
out of
wait.
to get out of a
Yeah,
pickle.
I can't wait to see some of this because there are a lot of times where I'm looking at a kit and it's like I feel like there's more I could do with this if I just knew what the techniques were, what to even research to know what to do, or and so then I just kind of give up in my mind. But yeah, I'm curious to see then what you're doing. That's going to be quite interesting.
And sometimes I have gotten some pretty kooky ideas. For instance, that Eric Blanc Zaku that I have finally finished. I need to like photograph it professionally
Oh
and
yeah.
share the results of my work here. Um, One of the things that I was trying to do was I was going to paint these white stripes on the kit, but what I ended up doing was just taking some decal paper and cutting white stripes off of it and like wrapping them around the leg. And so that's actually a water slide decal on the legs instead of paint. And I
Excellent.
think it looks a lot better than if I had tried to, even if I'd tried to airbrush it. Like,
Well,
it,
did you paint that first?
yeah, so this was all spray painted. And then,
Oh, because that looks really good. Like I know there's sometimes graininess with video, but like a lot of times you can tell with a painted kit, if it's painted or not. So, and did you even put a finish on it too?
yep, we have the my classic matte top coat, which I
Ah,
love that the matte top coat kind of removes some of the I guess this would probably be the best example is the back skirt. You
yes,
really
man,
can't
that looks
see
great.
the clear outline from
Nope.
the water slide decal at all on these. Um
And what did you do in the thrusters?
oh, inside, oh, uh-oh, what did I lose here? I think I lost one of the thrusters.
Oh,
Inside the leg thrusters, I've got just some metallic red paint, but inside of
ah,
the backpack thrusters, we have some of that neon reactive paint that, and
man,
even
because
the
that looks good.
yeah, even the mono eye has that that neon reactive paint, which I don't know where my black light went, but
That stands out. Like that's what's cool because yeah, it's not even it's activated right now. I guess just
just
by the type of light that's actually hitting, and it stands out. Like you had it at an angle, and I could tell there's something with the thruster.
yeah,
And
once it
yeah,
catches that angle, and I think I even
yeah.
used it on the shoulders. I put some green in there to kind of
Oh wow.
um. So
And I've
yeah,
noticed that in GBO2, I don't know if you've noticed this, like the mobile suits, they have where there's like a little green light on one side and red on the other. I don't know if there's a in-universe explanation for that, but I
no,
noticed they just added that.
as
Yeah.
far as I know, it's just an added detail, but I think
Okay.
it's a very realistic detail that I like.
Yeah,
You know, it's one of
me
those
too.
things where you look at aircrafts when you're, you know, at night, if you're watching a plane overhead and you can kind of see all the indicator lights.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. I see. I love that stuff.
Oh
So
yeah,
that's another good thing about GBO2. Um, oh,
yeah,
and what's up to Rogue New Type in the chat?
yeah. Hey, buddy. Yeah. So hopefully that's positive news to people. Is, you know, that we're going to be doing more hobby related content, and that, you know, it's going to be less of us just kind of jawing on, and you're actually going to have something to watch and something hopefully cool to see. I mean, sometimes obviously I'll get away from Gundam from time to time. I just started painting a couple of Xeno
Oh,
minis, which I think are going to be a lot of fun. Um,
that looks so good because yeah, I printed one of those out with my, the plastic,
yeah,
uh, and then I'd have to sand it and really work on it. But speaking of Xenomorph, because this is kind of related, did you see Prey?
I haven't, but it is Wayland Wednesday, so you know,
That's funny. I haven't heard that before, but that checks out.
so yeah, it might be worth checking out a Predator or Alien movie for
I loved it.
yeah, was it good?
Yeah, I mean, I would prefer more of a bigger like world building. In fact, I feel like all future Xenomorph or Predator movies should be AVP in some sense
Yeah.
with Wayland. But this is kind of a standalone Predator film, and for that, it works. It works. If it wasn't for the last few Predator movies not being too great, I would probably be like, well, this is just more of the same. But they did it just different enough and kind of re-energized the franchise.
I
Yeah,
like the sound of that. When I
yeah.
first saw the trailer, what I thought was, I wish that they had gone kind of like Apocalypto with it, where there's just like no dialogue and everything
Oh,
is communicated just in visuals. And because I mean, we're talking
I
about a
like that.
prehistoric tribe, right, that encounters the predator.
Yeah, and in fact, they have a version that is dubbed in Comanche.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, they did that. They filmed it in English, but then they recorded all the lines in Comanche. One, make it more mainstream appeal, but then to have that authenticity in it, which is pretty cool.
See, that
Yeah,
that might be the version I would want to watch. No subs too, because it's
yeah,
like I don't
be
even.
immersed into it.
Yeah,
Yeah, because really the way they filmed it, again, it's a filmmaker that knows how to be a filmmaker, just like we always talk about game developers that know how to be game developers. So I
yeah.
think you'd appreciate the movie just for the filmmaking, really.
That's
Yeah.
sweet. Yeah, then I'm looking forward to checking it out. And, you know, it's on Hulu, right? So
Yep. Disney Plus in all other countries but the US, which is interesting.
that is an interesting twist, huh?
Yeah. The US is still that conservative, I guess, with the I don't know. Although that's funny because the movie's rated R, but they shot it toward PG-13 just in case they were told. But no, it got the R, and so they CGI'd in more blood. So
That's got to be a fun job, I think, working in the visual
yes.
effects department, and you're just like, all right, I think we could use just a few more spurts over here, and
And what is the angle? Let me put this in a 3D program to get the actual trajectory of the blood splatter.
oh
Yeah, that'd be
man,
fun.
yeah, it's like
And think of going out and testing, like getting buckets of blood and like just throwing it against the wall to like get to recreate
oh
it.
yeah, I mean, it reminds me of that show Dexter, where he would be like, you know, have his little strings tied to all of the blood splatter, and
That's one of those shows. I never saw Dexter, but I hear about it all the time.
you know, Dexter was one of those things, like the books were better, but the books were kind of hokey too, because it
Oh,
was
I
all
didn't
all
even
this
know that.
alliteration. Like, you know, the book was called like
Oh,
Darkly Dreaming Dexter, and you know, he'd talk
interesting.
about how he perfectly planned his premeditated punishment for somebody.
Wow.
It was a little much. I was like, okay, we
Interesting.
get it. You have a thesaurus. um,
That's interesting. Yeah, I didn't even know it was based on a book, but there's so many shows I haven't watched. And are you thinking maybe, are you seeing in your future maybe time spent watching more TV?
well,
Do you think you see yourself sitting on the couch with the wife and the baby?
maybe. I mean, I don't have cable, so that's so I'm really
Oh,
restricted to whatever is
yeah.
on streaming
Who
services.
has cable anymore? When I say watch TV, I'm really referring to the Google apps or Roku.
Yeah, like oh man, it makes me sound like such a boomer. I feel like saying like I don't have cable is like the same thing as saying like, oh, I don't have Facebook, or I don't I don't
Yeah. Or when you're trying to like talk to your kids about oh, that was on a VHS tape. And it's like, what? A VHS? What? No.
cringe. But
I know.
yeah, no, my wife and I did just rewatch the Lord of the Rings trilogy because that's on Amazon right now, and
Oh,
obviously it's so fascinating. I think back to it and I'm like, man, Peter Jackson, like they really went out on a limb with him, and he knocked it out of the park because like you would have thought, you know, Lord of the Rings, this is a franchise that they should give to like a Spielberg or a James Cameron or something like that. And not that Peter Jackson's a nobody or that he was at the time, but like, he was a relatively untested director. So,
yeah. I mean, he had The Dead Alive, which I love. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's kind of like his version of Evil Dead.
yeah.
It's a little goofier. And he did um some other things that weren't too big of a deal, but I see. Here's what's funny. I haven't watched Lord of the Rings movies. I watched the second one, Two Towers, I think it was part of it, and I don't know why. Maybe I need to revisit it. Not my thing. Never even read the books. But I was fascinated by the making of, and I think what really helped was he had been championing to make these movies for a while, and I think he was able to just come at it at the special effects angle, uh, and that's kind of probably what really sold the studio to want to do something like that, and it paid off because I mean, and that was like what shortly after episode one, so you have these the prequel starting. So you have these companies that are now using all this new technology George Lucas is pushing forward, and then Peter Jackson is just a good filmmaker. So to be able to get onto that. Did he also do King Kong?
He did. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, that's just an example. It's interesting because if you think of Dead Alive, if you guys haven't seen it, really Dead Alive is special effects heavy the entire time because there's zombies, there's constant gore, there's some monster stuff going on, and a lot of the shots are special effects heavy. So I think that's just his forte. That's what got him.
Yeah. Yeah. But even for being as special effects heavy as those films are, I mean, a lot of the shooting was done in New Zealand and like in these vast
Yeah,
locations. I think that
yeah,
there's something missing. I think in most modern filmmaking where we don't do those types of location shoots anymore. It's like everything's either done in a volume studio or on green screens and stuff like that.
yeah.
Um, and some of it's kind of hard to do. Like you can't imagine the Avengers fighting in space. It's like, well, we're not going to shoot on location in space. But
Which I think Tom Cruise will probably do that here pretty soon. I bet the next Mission Impossible will be on the moon.
yeah.
I mean, as long as humans can actually land on the moon. No, I'm not going to get there. But
Well, what's the old joke? It's like, oh yeah, they did fake the moon landing, but was it Buzz Aldrin or Neil Armstrong was such a perfectionist that he demanded they shoot on location?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Which, yeah. Speaking of filmmakers, Stanley Kubrick. He was well, he did 2001,
Yeah.
which I wonder how much the government thought that was cool. No, I don't want to get into the jokiness of the moon landing stuff, um, but anyway, but I guess really what I was getting at is because you're going to be, yeah, I don't, again, it's you're playing it by ear. I saw myself watching more TV, even playing more video games because I was home more. And a lot of times the baby would be asleep in this rocker thing that I would have facing me. So when she'd be asleep, it's like, okay, I'll play some video games and just wait till she wakes up. There's so there could be
Yeah.
some shows to to
I've
watch?
not gotten her into a rocker or into a bassinet or anything like that that she likes. It's like, you know,
Put her
she's
down
either
and
in
cries.
dad's arms or she is wailing. Um,
Yeah. Oh man. Yep.
but but yeah, that hasn't stopped me. Like I said, you know, I obviously built this Marasai kit while she was sleeping, you know, kind of in between
Ah,
where I can sneak in my 4 minutes at a
nice.
time of clipping and sanding. So yeah, I'm looking forward to kind of committing some more of this live stream time to doing some of that stuff because you know I feel like a
That's
lot of
cool.
the hobby stuff that I've been doing is almost behind the scenes. You know, you've got these 3D printed models that I've been putting out that you know you don't really get to see the posing and the rigging process. I think that it might be a little more interesting for people to watch that kind of stuff happen. And
Yeah.
again, you know,
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
not going to be you know, we're not just turning into another like sacred symbols or something talking about video games that we like to play. Um
Yeah. And that's funny because I have that other gaming channel that I was talking about earlier. I started long ago, kind of got out of it, but there is this thing where sometimes I feel like, well, what am I really contributing? I want to talk about games, and it's like I got to find that sweet spot of talking about games and spending my time recording it and what am I getting out of it? Yeah, it's
exactly.
interesting dilemma. Yeah.
So yeah, that's not to say that I'm going to stop making video games, but it's definitely going to be less of the focus on this channel. There's definitely there's an aspect of, you know, Dance with the Girl Who Brought You, right? You know, where
Mm,
this YouTube channel has gone as far as it has. This I mean, this everything, the Discord, all of it has gone as far as it has because of tabletop gaming, because of Gunpla, and because of, you know, kind of
yeah.
marrying those nerdy hobbies together. And so I think that this will kind of mark a return to that, and
Yeah.
I hope that you guys appreciate
Oh yeah, I mean, I think so. Some of those videos you have are pretty crazy. I mean, just yeah, the very specific, interesting way to do things. And shout out to Jedi Sayla in the chat. I like she says you have your own little Maneva.
it.
Oh, no.
I do,
That's cool.
yeah. If only I was as buff as Dozel and
Oh yeah,
like
that's crazy.
yeah. But yeah, I think that that is really all I had to talk about tonight. You know, I didn't really prepare any major topics, but I just wanted to say, you know, sort of John Wick style, you know, I guess you'd say I'm back. Um but wait, what
Yeah.
at Restreambot? No need to insult the kid. Oh. but but yeah, was there anything that that you wanted to mention before we sign off, Adam?
Well, no, just yeah, I'm glad to be back. Really, I mean, this was a time during the week I was missing. We were all missing, and there's a lot of this community crossover. So I think also too with the Gunpla stuff. I love the Gunpla stuff, but I think we'll probably see more of that from Steven's channel than mine. I'll still review the Gunpla and stuff like that, but like I'm learning so much from a lot of the stuff you're bringing up, and I think it's something to keep your eye out for if you really want. I mean, if you like Gundam and you really like that Gunpla aspect, you need to be following Steven's stuff because uh, just my mind's going crazy with the stuff you've mentioned about the AOZ, Zaku, uh, Hyzak. I'm like, what?
Dude, I appreciate that. I mean, like, I think that you and I kind of come at Gundam from two different angles. It's kind of
Yeah.
like when Henry Cavill was on the Graham Norton show and he's trying to explain Warhammer, and he's like, well, you know, there's like the gaming side of the hobby, and then there's the painting side of the hobby, and sometimes those
Yep.
cross over, but sometimes not so much. And it's like, you know, when it comes to Gundam, it seems like you have sort of the series lore side of the
Lore.
side of the
Yeah.
fandom, and then you have, like, you know, the Gunpla side of the fandom, and you know there's some overlap there. But I think that you know, you and I have mentioned the idea of bringing on like maybe some guests to talk to us, some people out there
Yeah.
in the community that we, you know, some mutuals that we have and stuff like that, that you know maybe some of
That'd be
them are
cool.
a little heavier into the Gunpla side, some of them are heavier into the
Yeah.
Gundam lore side, and so you're going to get to see sort of both sides of everything, you know, if you want the total package.
Yeah. For instance, kind of explain that I reached out to I'm thinking, I like to do more interviews on my podcast. And, my thought was the actor of G Savior. So I reached out to him. He hasn't responded back yet, but the main guy, Mark is his name, in the movie. I was like, hey, I want to celebrate G Savior. Would you like to do an interview? That would be amazing.
Oh, that'd be
For to happen.
incredible.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, it would just be hilarious to like make G Savior great again. Wait, no, that can't be a thing. But
I'll wear that hat.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah.
well, cool. Then yeah, I'm glad that sort of everyone's. Well, first of all, I'm glad that you, Adam, are on board with the direction that
Oh yeah.
we're kind of going to take things going forward. And I hope that everyone in the chat is excited about those changes. And hopefully, there's going to be more products available. Things that we create together that I will make available to
Oh yeah.
everybody. Either through digital downloads, through the Patreon. I've even considered opening up a web store, like an e-commerce store. If these high grade resin conversion kits are, you
Yeah.
know, if you're interested in creating a ground type high mobility Zaku 2, you know, and you don't have access to a 3D printer where I could give you the STLs, I'll print them out and ship them to you.
Yeah, that would be cool. And but real quick, high mobility ground type Zaku, is that like the Southern Cross? Is that what that's referencing, or is that a
So
different
the
one?
Southern Cross has their model. The one I'm leaning towards is the it's the Vincent Gleisner custom, or the Alma Sterner, if you remember Code Fairy. So it's either the one from
Oh
Side
yeah.
Stories or the one from Code Fairy. The one, it's almost got
Huh.
like a goof style chest and and like a slanted shoulder shield. It's pretty sweet looking.
Yeah, I remember now. Okay, that's cool, man. There's so many to keep up with. But yeah, who else is building this custom?
Right, and
No
I
one.
think that there's tons of perfect grade resin conversion kits out there, and there's tons of stuff that's available for the pro builders, the people that are entering into, World Cups and things like that. What I'm interested in, and what I've always kind of been interested in, is creating things for the hobbyist, the hobbyist level hobbyist, right? Not the professional hobbyist that is doing
Right.
these things to the nth degree. I like to make things affordable. I like to make things easy and accessible to wider groups of people, because it's all about kind of popularizing the hobby more than just kind of a niche community of really talent. I mean, I'm not going to diminish the talent out there, because there's some fantastic airbrush painters. People like It's a
Yeah.
Gunpla and Roji
Oh
and
yeah.
Art Kenshin. Those are all guys that I follow, and I love all their techniques. But I think that there's room out there for the guys that are hand painting Gundams.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. It's awesome stuff.
Cool. Well, like I said, I think I'm gonna wrap it up early this evening, just because got to go make sure that that the newborn is fed, and we didn't
Oh yeah.
really have a whole lot to talk about today. Next week we'll probably be diving into the Gunpla table, and we'll do something a
Sweet.
little bit more hands-on, and I hope you guys are looking forward to it. For those of you,
Yeah.
again, we do have awesome overlap between our two communities, the Gundam Explained community and the Midnight Hatter people. And so, again, if you have not gone over to Gundam Explained and subscribed to Adam's channel, if you're interested in that side of Gundam, where you're interested in talking about lore and interested in kind of deep dives into specific mobile suits and things like that, Adam's your place to go. I'm gonna be your one-stop shop for butchering plastic.
Good way to put it.
Good deal. Well, hey, thanks again for hosting with me. Thanks for coming back.
Of course.
I'm worried, like,
Of course.
oh man, I'm gone for 2 weeks. He's just gonna replace me, and
Yeah. It's like, yeah, no, I've moved on. No,
yeah.
that would be horrible.
But yeah, no, I appreciate having you, and I appreciate everything that the Gundam Explained folks have done for me over here.
Yeah, definitely.
Sweet. Well, you guys
At all.
have a wonderful evening. Adam, did I just cut you off?
Oh no,
Okay.
no, I was just yeah,
Good deal. Good
not at
deal. Well,
all.
thank you guys again so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't, and catch you later.
Yep. See y'all.